Hey there, it's Emma. And let me tell you, I never thought I'd be standing in a courtroom, watching my husband's smug grin collapse like a cheap folding chair. Yeah, that's where this story starts, right in the middle of the most surreal moment of my life, with a judge about to flip everything upside down. I'm just a small-town English teacher from Willow Creek, Ohio, and I thought I'd married my dream guy, Nathan Reed, this slick real estate developer who could charm the paint off a wall. But boy, was I wrong about him, and it took a dusty old envelope from my dad to show me just how much. So, picture this. 3 years ago, I'm at this fancy fundraiser in Columbus, serving drinks to cover my rent, when Nathan sweeps in tall, sharp suit, flashing a smile that could sell you a bridge. He's all grand gestures, whisking me to rooftop dinners, talking about our big future together, and 6 months later, he's down on one knee with a ring that could have paid off my student loans. I said yes, thinking I'd hit the jackpot. I'm Emma Harper, daughter of a factory worker, suddenly living this fairy tale life with a guy who seemed to have it all. But fairy tales? They've got a dark side. At first, it was little things. Nathan would smirk when I talked about my students, like, I'd be so proud of this kid, Jake, who went from failing to nailing his college essay, and Nathan's like, that's sweet, Emma, but let's talk about real success, like my latest deal. It stung, but I brushed it off, thinking he was just stressed, running his big projects. Then we got married, and those little jabs got sharper. He'd have his developer buddies over, all suits and whiskey, and when they asked what I did, he'd say, oh, Emma's just a teacher. She keeps busy while I handle the heavy lifting. Just a teacher. Like my job, my passion, was some cute little hobby. I'd smile, pour more wine, and slip into the kitchen, feeling like I was shrinking. Worse, he'd take shots at my dad, Tom Harper, who'd passed from lung cancer when I was 24. Dad was my rock, quiet, worked long hours at the plant, never had much, but he'd give you the shirt off his back. Nathan, though, he'd say stuff like, it's fine, your dad was just a worker, Emma, not everyone's cut out for the big leagues like my family. It was like a knife every time. Things got darker 2 years in. Nathan started staying out late client meetings, he said, but his phone was always buzzing, and he'd duck into his office to answer. The candlelit dinners stopped. We were eating takeout in silence. I threw myself into teaching, staying late to help kids like Jake, who was fighting to get into college despite his mom's addiction issues. When he got that scholarship, he hugged me and said, MS. Harper, you believed in me when no one else did. Those moments kept me going, reminded me who I was, even as Nathan made me feel like nothing at home. Then came the night that broke everything. I'd just gotten back from a parent-teacher conference, buzzing because I'd helped a kid's family figure out a plan to keep him in school. I wanted to tell Nathan, to feel like we were a team again, but I found him in his study, laughing into his phone. She's clueless, Mike, he says, voice dripping with glee. Thinks I married her for love, can you believe it? The prenup's ironclad, and that land her dad left her? It's mine once we divorce. She signed it over for our mortgage, doesn't even know what she gave up. My heart stopped. He kept going. 3 years playing the doting husband to this boring little teacher. It's been a slog, but that land's gonna make it worth it. I backed away, legs shaking, his laughter echoing in my head. My husband wasn't just distant, was a liar, playing me from day one. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I called in sick the next day, first time ever, and dug through our files. It was worse than I thought. Nathan had maneuvered everything. Our house was in his name, my dad's land tied up as collateral, our accounts set, so I needed his okay for anything big. I'd signed papers thinking they were for insurance or taxes, but they gave him control of everything. A week later, he came home with flowers, all sweet and serious, saying, Emma, we need to talk. We've grown apart, and I think we should divorce. He had the nerve to act kind, sliding divorce papers across the table, promising me a generous settlement enough for a tiny apartment, maybe. When I asked about Dad's land, he said, oh, that's tied to the mortgage, but don't worry, you'll be fine. Liar. I wasn't going down without a fight. I found Laura Bennett, a divorce lawyer with a reputation for tearing through nonsense. She listened to my story, looked at the papers, and said, Emma, this is tough, but tell me about that land. I shrugged. Dad's land was just an empty plot with a crumbling shed, or so Nathan said. Laura leaned in, eyes sharp. Let's get it appraised. And I'm digging into your dad's finances. Sometimes there's more than meets the eye. I didn't believe her. Dad was a factory guy, scraping by. What could she find? 2 weeks later, she called, voice urgent. Emma, sit down. That land. It's sitting on a natural gas deposit worth $10 million. And your dad? He set up a trust fund for you, $1.5 million, hidden because you changed your name when you married. Nathan had no clue. I nearly dropped the phone. Dad, quiet old dad, had been investing for years, squirreling away money to protect me. He'd even written a letter saying the trust was mine alone, untouchable by anyone else, to kick in after my 30th birthday or a divorce. He knew I might need a safety net. The courtroom day came, and Nathan was all swagger, his fancy lawyers smirking like they'd already won. He played the generous husband, his team arguing I'd get a fair settlement despite contributing nothing to our wealth. I sat there, heart pounding, as Laura stood and said, Your Honor, we have new information. She dropped the bomb, the land's value, the trust fund, and oh yeah, a recording of Nathan's phone call, gloating about his scheme. His face went gray, his lawyer scrambling. Your Honor, Laura said, Nathan tried to defraud my client of her inheritance. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Clara Tate, wasn't having it. Mr. Reed, you thought you could manipulate this woman out of millions. The prenup's void for fraud. MS. Harper keeps her land, her trust, and gets half of all marital assets. Outside, Nathan chased me down, desperate. Emma, this is a mistake. Let's fix this. I love you. I spun around, done with his lies. Nathan, I heard you call me boring, ordinary, easy to control. You thought I was nothing. But you were wrong about me, about my dad, about everything. I walked away, his pleas fading behind me. That day, I realized something. I'd spent years chasing Nathan's approval, thinking I had to prove my worth. But Dad? He knew I was enough. That trust, that land, it wasn't just money. It was his way of saying, Emma, you're stronger than you know. I'm back to teaching now, helping kids like Jake, living for moments that matter. Nathan? He's probably still scheming somewhere, but I'm free. So what do you think? Was justice served? Or should I have fought harder to expose Nathan's lies to everyone he knows? Drop a comment, tell me where you're watching from, and share a time someone underestimated you. Hit that subscribe button. We're retelling real stories like this every day. Catch you next time.